open, what is not? Who can I call? If it's just a blanket order that says no transit, basically, it seems to be pretty clear. Having all these holes in the thing would lead to confusion, I would think.
I agree.
Well, I need to point out number 6, which says this order is effective throughout Coos County, including within the limits of incorporated cities that have not already adopted specific resolutions or orders related to short-term rentals or lodging. So arguably, even if we pass this order, it's not going to apply to Bandon or Coos Bay.
Yep.
Because they both took action last week.
Right. And I'm assuming that the intent there is that what they decide to do is more stringent than what we would do, or do they just have to have a resolution? You know, what is the resolution where that our doors are wide open?
Matt?
Well, I mean, as it's written, it does not say that theirs has to be more stringent than ours. It says that if they've already taken action on this issue, that we're not I mean, that wording can be changed, but it is not written to say it has to be more stringent. And it's kind of, it can, Bandon took action. That's what this was primarily aimed at. They and this is partially based on their wording, and I would say it's probably equal in how stringent it is,
But what if a city passed a resolution and simply said, we're wide open? That's a resolution.
correct. So,
But it certainly doesn't, it certainly is not made in the vein of what we're trying to get done here.
right, and the proposed potential language in Section 7 saying if they pass an order or a resolution on the subject in the next 7 days is specifically designed to say if they want to do something different, we're not going to try to strong arm them to do what we want them to do. And so, yeah, it could be that it's inconsistent with that language.
I just think it's better to have one ruling that applies essentially to everyone in the county except Bandon, who's already enacted one that's so similar to what we're talking about. I don't think it's consequential.
So what did Coos Bay pass? Because I hadn't considered Coos Bay having done something in this area.
Coos Bay took action requesting that their cities basically comply with what we have in here.
But it's a request, not a requirement.
I don't know if they did it in the form of a resolution or an order, or whether they took a vote. So I would hesitate to opine on whether or not Coos Bay would meet the criteria set forth in number 6.
So if we want to be clear about whether they do meet the criteria, I would suggest changing the language to say have not already adopted specific resolutions or orders restricting short-term rentals or lodging. I wouldn't think that a suggestion that it doesn't happen is an order or resolution restricting it. I think it's just saying something. So
I agree.
I'm sorry, Nat, can you repeat that? I actually had a hard time hearing you.
Oh, okay. So yes, I was referring to Section 6, which says this order is effective throughout Coos County, including within the limits of incorporated cities that have not already adopted specific resolutions or orders relating to short-term rentals or lodging. And I'm saying that if the majority of the board wants to be clear that, just a resolution saying we encourage you not to have short-term unnecessary tourists in town, that language be changed to including within the limits of incorporated cities that have not already adopted specific resolutions or orders restricting short-term rentals or lodging as opposed to relating to, because restricting would be an affirmative action to keep someone from doing something, as opposed to passing a resolution, much like what the county did, where we said, we want to encourage you not to have tourists, which isn't really a restriction, it's just asking someone to do something.
Okay. And then would you leave in number 7, which gives them 7 days, or not?
Well, that's up to the board.
I know. Sorry, I was talking to my
Oh, sorry.
fellow commissioners.
Melissa, I would not.
Bob?
I would not. I would
Okay.
immediately.
Pardon?
I would say immediately, or actually tomorrow, probably.
Well, no, the order is effective upon adoption by the county. We have 2 different versions in our email, and that's what I'm trying to look at. But the order is effective upon adoption. The only question is whether or not we want to allow the cities to take their own action within 7 days. And John does not. And frankly, I do. So
I'm with John.
you're the swing vote, Bob. Okay.
I'm with John.
Okay. Then you guys need to propose a motion.
John, you want to do that?
Yeah, and I don't have the order before me here, but I move to approve that version of the order that does not give the cities that don't already have a restriction
Okay, so that would be,
the opportunity to opt out.
And so this would be ordered.
And I would also, pardon me, go ahead, Nat.
Oh no, finish up and then I'll. See if I need-
And I would also like that paragraph 6 to be amended as Nat just described to us.
and he's going to give you the order you're referring to.
Yeah, it's order number 2003-014L.
2003-014L.
Correct.
I second.
Okay.
All right. So can we clearly state what the amendments are, just so we make sure we're approving the right version of the order?
So
I had one amendment, and that was paragraph or item 6 that I recall.
in item 6, the words related to are stricken and replaced with the word restricting. And this version does not include the language in proposed section 7 saying the order is not to be effective within a city that passes an order or resolution on the subject of transient lodging with regard to COVID-19 within 7 calendar days of the passage of this order. That is removed.
Okay. So is that your motion, John? Sorry, I just want to make sure we're clear.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
And that's your second, Bob? Okay. Okay. So any further discussion? All those in favor
Aye.
and opposed? I'm opposed. Motion carries. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Matt, what is the next agenda item?
The next item is discussion with regard to potential federal reimbursement for the county's response to COVID-19 and tracking time and expenses. And that will be followed up with regard to the SAFE fund, but this will be the first one. And I think Kathy Cooley is on the line with us to talk about that.
Yeah, this is Kathy. So my goal for today is to introduce a couple FEMA forms that I'm hoping to get our Coquille and county partners who are participating with us in the incident response to begin documenting. And the the rationale behind that is that if we are able to collect enough information that says, here's how much this has cost our county in order to respond to the COVID-19 incident, then hopefully we'll hit a threshold and be able to seek FEMA reimbursement. There are additional reasons for filling out these documents. So when we go through and look at our after action response and kind of tease out what we did well, what we could do better on, these forms also help supply that kind of information that we would use to help inform that discussion.
Kathy, as I understand it, we need to keep a log of these things that either cost us money or cost us money out of pocket or cause lost revenue in order to be eligible for this. And they have to be, does it have to be kept up weekly, or how does that work?
Right. So I'll walk you through, let me start with walking you through the activity log. Did you receive that?
Yes.
Okay. So it's titled ICS 214. And what we have been doing here at the incident management team up at Coos Health and Wellness is documenting this each day and submitting it. And there is in that supplemental document, the guidance document, a link where you can electronically submit this document. And then our finance folks are tracking how much time each individual is spending on this response. So when you complete this, I've already pre-filled out number 1 because the incident name and number is there. Is there a question?
Hello?
Kathy?
Yeah, hi.
We lost. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there was some weird sounds. You would, at number 1, it's already pre-filled out. Your operational period is basically just use it one of these forms per day. So you could start with April 1st, 2020, and your time from would be when you started work, and your time to is when you ended your work. And obviously your name and your ICS position, you can just put your current role that you're working in if you have not been assigned a incident command structure position. Sherry, I think you might be the only one we've got currently assigned. Board of Commissioners, I think we've got you kind of in a MAC policy group. So you guys could, and Matt as well, could complete the form in that, use that as your position title if you'd like. And item number 7, the activity log, really it's just writing down what you have been doing in response to COVID-19. So it could be anywhere from wiping down your desk and disinfecting your desk to having calls like today, talking about declarations of emergency. Could be any of those kinds of activities that you've been doing or might be doing in the future could all be written down here on this form. At the end of the day, we're asking if you could total up the number of COVID-19 related activities in terms of hours, and then just send it to our email address.
Okay, so Kathy, this is Bob.
Yeah, hi, Bob.
Does this include the managers within the county, and also is this within the normal work hours or outside the normal work hours, or both?
Okay. So first question, does this include managers in the county? It may. What we have done is we're taking advantage of kind of this lull right now and tightening up our ship in terms of documentation. So for county managers that are involved in COVID-19 related activities, by all means, feel free to have them fill this out. If they are not modifying their work or having to do anything differently or in response to this, then this would not be a useful document for them at this time.
Kathy, this is John. What about, we've shut our parks down, and so there's no revenue coming in. Is lost revenue opportunity something that can be claimed as well?
I work in planning, not finance, so that would be a question I would direct you to in terms of that kind of guidance and information. Rebecca Riddell is our finance section chief.
Mm-hmm.
It would certainly be interesting to track the lost revenue and see if there are ways to recapture, but I can't speak with any authority on that.
Surely.
Kathy?
Yeah.
This is Melissa Cribbins. So I think commissioners find themselves attending like a lot of conference calls and webinars right now about COVID-19. Is that something that could be included?
Yes, I would definitely document that as well.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. I could think of, when Dave Fabrizio is attending our incident management meetings, that would be something that he could document. If or when we need security, that would be something that would probably fall in his documentation. Conference calls, certainly, for everyone. If Mike is helping disinfect the high-touch areas in your courthouse, that would be something that he would be documenting on this 214. The individual who was looking for the hand washing stations, that was a new activity. That would be documented on the 214 as well.
What about rental of the hand washing station itself?
That would be a fiscal cost. So that, again, I would direct you to our finance folks.
And then, like, we're having these Board of Commissioners meetings Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They're kind of emergency meetings to deal with the virus. Would the cost of those be something we could file for?
Again, finance is going to be able to answer that one.
Okay.
This form, however, is going to be part of that documentation that FEMA requires in order to seek reimbursement. So it's sort of like if it's not filled out, it didn't happen. So that's why we're saying let's jump on this now and start folks filling them out so that if we do have an opportunity to seek those kinds of reimbursements, then we'll have the documentation in place to back it up. And with that, I had guidance from our liaison from the state that says that we can actually take advantage of going retroactively. So if there is work that you guys have done since, say, late February, feel free to submit one of these 214 forms for those days as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Did I get the other answer? You had a two-part question there, Bob. Did I answer both parts?
I think so.
Okay. So yeah, look at the supplemental guidance. We tried to flesh out a few extra ideas to help staff fill out that document. The other document I'd like to introduce you to is it's called the ICS 309. It's a communication log. And this one is a supplemental one that would allow us to just talk about who said what, or what kind of communications you had. And as commissioners, I can see you guys filling this out all the time. But it essentially just talks like if you receive calls, who did they come from, what was the gist of the conversation, and it can be very succinct.
You know, it seems to me that typically Mike would have been filling this out, but he's not here, and Gabe's doing his very best to keep up with everything. But I don't think it's fair to put this on Gabe. If we think this is important, and I think it is, should we have someone outside of public health kind of coordinating this for the rest of the county? And if so, who?
Okay, and in coordination, tell me what you're thinking of for that.
Well, collecting the forms and if we're going to, if public health is going to be the point department to turn this into FEMA, forward them to public health, or if public health is not, make sure that we have a separate way of getting this information to FEMA. Mm-hmm. But basically someone to oversee collection of it.
Right. Well, currently our planning has a process in place where these documents can be sent electronically. The only thing that we would not have is the ability to find out if an individual worked, did they actually do anything in the COVID-19 response that day or not? That's the oversight that we would not be able to double check well.
Sure. And when you say planning, you don't mean our planning department. You mean the planning part of your emergency response team.
Correct. Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions?
Maybe we want to think about it and talk about it at a later time, but I think it's something we ought to give some consideration to. I'd like us to be eligible to recover what we can from FEMA when the time comes. And without doing this, I don't think we can expect to recover anything.
Correct. This is going to be a critical form.
So, John, you're wanting us to assign another person to be in charge of the forms?
Well, Melissa, I really don't have. I'm kind of I'm puzzled about how we should proceed with this. I guess the first thing is to decide if it's important enough, and if it is, how should we proceed? I think that with Mike gone and our not having a full-time emergency management director that who I think would normally take care of this, we need to find another way to get it done, to make sure this information is being collected and documented and passed on to whomever it should be passed on to. And I think public health has offered to forward it to FEMA if we wished to avail ourselves of that service.
Right. So I don't know why we would need another person. I mean, what we need to do is give a directive to staff that if you are doing COVID-19 activities, then you need to be logging them. And then those ICS 214 sheets need to be sent on to Kathy. Right?
That would work, yeah.
I mean, assuming Kathy is amenable to that and that So we can agree on some frequency schedule for those to be going to her, so she's not getting them every 2 hours from some people and, every month and a half from others.
Correct.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, I just thought that we normally had someone outside the public health that did this for the rest of the county, and we don't clearly have that person now, so, and I think it's very generous of Kathy to offer. Probably ought to double check with, Mike and Florence to make sure that they're okay with that.
Yeah, definitely. And we would need to also think about how we can, cross-check with, timesheets.
Sorry, cross-check with what?
With the timesheet?
With the timesheet, okay, I lost you right there at the end.
And then someone to mail out some clear directly and answer, be in a position to respond to questions that our department heads are very likely to have about what counts and what doesn't.
Right, normally I would say we should have a meeting and discuss it, but it seems like it's something we shouldn't do right now. So,
Pardon me?
I said normally I would say we should have a meeting to discuss it, but that seems like something we shouldn't do right now.
I agree.
Kathy, are you able to check back with Mike and Florence and make sure that they're okay with you collecting all this information? Okay, I just hate to see us create an additional level of redundancy and then actually make the communications worse. And then if they are okay, maybe, I'm sure you have like a one-page sheet or something of allowable activities, and we put together an email and send it out to our department heads.
Right. Yeah, I would direct you to look at that general guidance one and see if you think that is, sufficient.
Okay.
And then we can modify, if that needs to change a little bit. And then, yeah, so I'll talk with Mike and Florence about our ability to receive all the county forms. Do you have an estimate of the number of, county employees that might be submitting a 214 form at this point?
I would guess no more than 10. I would think probably closer to 5, would be my guess. Nat, Dave, Charity, John, Bob, and I, probably Bobby takes some calls, and then maybe Caroline
Craig?
and Craig, sorry.
I think that would handle it, yeah.
That sounds manageable from our end. I'll double check and then who should I get back to?
Do you mind just getting back to me and I'll just coordinate it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. It's one of those things you gotta start documenting, because it'll be impossible to go back and try to put it all back together at the end. So I appreciate you bringing this up. Okay, do we have anything else on that topic?
That's all I have.
Thank
I'm
you very
done.
much, Kathy.
All right, so the next topic is that SAFE has a $10 million coronavirus worker safety fund, which we can file an application for reimbursement for costs keeping county employees safe. There's many things that would qualify: safety equipment, worksite cleaning services and supplies, redesign, etc. So, Commissioner Cribbins, you mentioned this morning, indicating we should do this, fill something out. There's a online form to fill out, but we need to make sure that it's coordinated so we're covering as much cost as we can, so that we can get a full reimbursement if possible from that. So,
We also want to be kind of quick because it's a first come, first served,
yeah.
fund. So when they run out, they run out.
Right, and you can, I've noted that you can add in future expenses, but there's a limit to what we can anticipate, and in the interest of getting something in, we need to act quick, and then if there's anything else that comes up, we can try, but it might be gone then. So, Charity, I don't know if you have a feeling on what we've spent within these categories and how to coordinate with people to make sure that we can submit something quick that covers everything we've done. I mean, I know we have a station at the courthouse, we have the hand washing station, we have the station that's within the doors in addition to that. But honestly, I don't know what else we have. Yeah.
And Coos Health and Wellness is paying somebody to wipe down surfaces.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
How many different places can we get reimbursed for this stuff, do you think?
But everyone in the county is under the policy, so it should be any county department.
You see the potential profit center, John?
Well, if there's not some checks and balances, some checks on it, we should make sure we're not applying for relief for life for the same thing.
Shouldn't IT be able to do that for the account, for the Zoom account they're talking about setting up? So we can, do conference calls and not have to, put people together rather than having to bill out of each of the department's, budget?
Yeah. I would think yeah, I would think that any equipment that we are purchasing in order to facilitate telecommuting and workplace safety in that manner would be a huge source of potential reimbursement. Yeah, because modifications, worksite redesign or modification to respond, I think it could fall under that.
So most of this would come from maintenance, safety, where else? IT.
And then Coos Health and Wellness.
Who's Health and Wellness, yeah.
Charity, would you be able to coordinate a response from those departments and just get each of them to let you know what projects they have that they believe qualify and how much they spent?
Yes, I can do that.
That would be great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that covers number 3. Number 4 is economic development funds available to mitigate economic impacts of coronavirus. Megan?
So at the last meeting, there was talk about possibly getting some funds to SCDC from the Economic Development Fund.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, not counting on any more revenue in the fund for the rest of the year besides interest, we have about $68,000 available. And we also have another request from 10 Mile Lakes. What is it called?
Mason project?
Thank you. For algae testing, they want $3,000, so I just wanted to put that out there, that's another request, in case you wanted to do both.
I was thinking more in terms of like $5,000 to $10,000.
For SCDC.
For SCDC.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I didn't wanna give it all, right?
No.
No, I just didn't want anyone to, I just want to let people know what area I was thinking in, and what amount I was thinking about. There are other things that CCD are doing for small businesses that have an emergency loan fund, and these are loans which probably would never be repaid, and they're people are, I think, Ford Family Foundation, is willing to contribute to that. And the city of Coos Bay is looking at it, if we feel so inclined, to put a little money there, but, it would be more just trying to help out, and I don't know that we have enough to be more than just a little bit helpful. But it wouldn't be bad to show some response, in my view.
Yep.
I talked to Sean at SCDC. A lot of his time is currently being spent on this type of thing, making sure that our small businesses are aware of what governmental programs are available to help them through this, and helping them with how to apply for those, helping them to apply. That's just one. CTD's doing the same thing. But I think it would be, maybe not funding a loan fund, but helping support that activity, I think would be a good thing for the county to do, to the tune of no
John,
more than 10. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask if you knew how much the city of Coos Bay was putting in.
I don't, and I've been reluctant to, get too specific. Well, I do. I don't have it in hours, but Sean said this is taking a lot of my time right now, and the more support I have, the better. But it's hard to tie exactly. I mean, he's already doing it. That's the problem I'm having, tying or giving him extra money to his being able. He only works so many hours a week or a day, and but I think it would be helpful, and I think it would show support from the county that I think would be nice to show. Not so much to SEDC, but to the small business community.
Well, over and above nice, I think it's necessary to help the small businesses to kind of wade through all the paperwork that's going to descend upon them to try and get reimbursed.
That's a better way of putting it. Thanks, Bob.
Well, the good news is that the small business loans are going to be available starting April 3rd, and people will be able to get them through their own bank. So they're not required to go through the SBA.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, this is a really tough time for small businesses, and if us putting in 5,000 or 10,000 of our economic development funds will help to keep a small business open, I think we have an obligation to do so.
Okay.
Well, then I would move that we allocate $10,000 from our economic development fund to SCDC for the purpose of assisting small businesses in the county with accessing whatever aid is available to them. And it's out there, but it takes someone that really knows where to go and what to ask for, I think, to help the small businesses.
Okay. Second.
So,
All right. Discussion?
Sounds good to me.
I think you're absolutely right, John. There's a lot of intricacies. For example, on a call this morning, somebody brought up the fact that the Paycheck Protection Act doesn't help a lot of small businesses because they've already laid off their employees. And Senator Merkley said, well, they can hire them back and qualify for the Paycheck Protection Act, which I thought was interesting.
that's good
But
to hear.
if you don't know that, it doesn't help you.
Yeah, that's right, and I think that could be FCDC's job, and frankly, I don't. They're probably doing a lot of it already, but this will still help them, and I'm so thank you very much for considering it.
Absolutely. All those in favor?
All right?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I heard a,
Motion carries.
I heard a so from Megan or someone, I think.
So can I
Yeah.
get a letter or something from the board that defines what the money can be used for, that we can
Yes.
put in with the check, so it's very clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll compose a letter like that if you'd like me to.
Well, we have a letter that we used to use when we did grants, and I guess I kind
Oh,
of do
okay.
this the same way. I don't think we're asking for specific deliverables or measurables. And maybe Nat can just pull that out of the legal files.
Okay.
We can just make it clear that it's for, supporting small businesses as they navigate through the coronavirus, issues.
That's a better
That
idea.
works.
Love it.
Nat looks excited. I can see him on YouTube
Yeah.
right now. I think he's
To the extent I know what this is and can find it, then I will do so.
I know what it is.
Okay, Megan knows, so Megan,
All
Megan
right.
can do it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Give it to you.
Oh, yeah, oh.
And
Okay.
then did we wanna do anything with the 10 Mile Lakes algae, or do you want me to do an agenda item for a regular board meeting?
Commissioner Maine?
Well,
Yeah, I believe you're the liaison to TLBP.
I am, and I would wait for a regular board meeting. It isn't absolutely necessary right now with dealing with this other stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
And they do have a
Thank
bit
you.
of funding left over, so it's not like they're out of funding to do testing.
All right. Thank you, Nat. Do you have any more agenda items?
Well, this one I wasn't sure about. I know we talked about, the Forest Service, request regarding roads near, the dunes that we had at our last meeting that wasn't really resolved, and I don't know if we have enough additional information on that to address it any further, but I thought I'd bring it up.
I think we do. Bob found someplace that they had actually closed the dunes,
It was on
and
their website for the Siuslaw district.
It does.
and I have a call in for the NRA National Recreation was the area to confirm that, and I think if they've closed the dunes, then we should do what we can to limit access, which I think amounts to one road, Bob's Road, out through the sand dunes.
So are we closing the road, or are we just putting up a sign that says local access only? I mean, what would we be doing?
Well, they've actually closed the dunes according to their website, which was updated sometime yesterday afternoon on the Siuslaw National Forest, said in recreational updates, paragraph 2 says the dunes are now closed.
So with that,
So I guess they wanted help.
I don't think there is any local access on that road, is there, Bob?
They wanted help in shutting off access out to the dunes, is what I remember from yesterday.
That is what they want.
Is there anyone that lives down that road?
No.
There are, what?
Bob, you know better than I should have answered that.
No, there's not. Not at, Spin Reel. At Hauser, there are some, there's what, 2 or 3 families that live out beyond.
But they're not asking for Hauser anymore.
Okay.
That's Henry.
But, the Spin Reel one, I think the county and the federal government jointly have that right of way through there. I'm not certain yet. I've been trying to do some research, but I can't find that particular agreement. I remember it was
Okay.
discussed many years ago about the county giving up part of their 60-foot right-of-way from what is now, well, the old Highway 101, just north of Spin Reel Campground out to the ocean. But I can't find that agreement in the commissioner's journals.
Well, the Forest Service seems to think that we have something to say about it, And I think that's why they're asking us to close that to Dunes access.
John, if you happen to talk to them today or tomorrow, could you find out if they have a copy of that agreement?
Sure. Sure, the agreement making that a joint Forest Service county road?
Yes,
Okay,
for a short
Yeah,
distance
she-
anyway. We didn't give up the remainder of the 60-foot right-of-way past what is the current park part of the Dunes National Recreation Area.
okay. Yeah, I can ask her that. She's supposed to call me back. I've asked her to call me back at least. So,
Okay.
hopefully we'll get an answer to that. But, I'd like approval to close Bob's Road to Sand Dune access.
Okay, was that a motion?
That's a motion. Mm-hmm.
Do we have a second?
Well, a second with discussion
All right, discussion?
until the ban on utilizing the dunes is lifted by the Forest Service?
I think that's a great suggestion, and then my motion to include that.
Okay, second on the amendment?
Okay. I would just point out to you both that when you look at the things that are currently being released by the federal government, it looks to me anyway from the website as though they are closing the dunes until September 30th of 2020,
Or until lifted, I guess.
or until they're lifted.
Yeah. Bobby had a question?
What's the name of the road?
Well, it's the access road into the Forest Service Spin Reel Park, which is across from the Spin Reel ATV rentals. They're on, I guess it's Wildwood. It used to be Old Highway 101 originally.
Does the road actually have a name?
I don't believe so. It just is the entrance to the park.
If I asked the road department, would they think it had a name?
Well,
possible.
there's an original road, but the road we're talking about is the actual road into the RV/camping area for the U.S. Forest Service there at Spin Reel Park.
Okay. All right, well, I think at least we have enough sufficiency on the record that someone could determine what road we're talking about if we do have to come back.
And I had talked to the ATV rentals across the way, and they're okay with that.
Good.
I think Melissa had a good question. Were we aware that the Forest Service order extended until September 30? I'm wondering if it'd be more palatable to people in the county if we were to close it for a short period of time and then just roll that back if necessary. A shorter period of time.
Well, I think
Like,
the order
go ahead, Bob.
said, or unless the Forest Service opens it up again before September 30th.
Oh, okay. All right.
I guess I was gonna say, can we foresee a situation where we would want to open it back up before they open the dunes?
And it wouldn't do them any good anyway if we opened the road and they still were closed.
Yep, I've never been on that road, so I guess I'm just really wanting to make sure that there's not some other use for that road.
Nope, that's what it's for, is to go into the
That's
park
what-
and then
I'll hold you to that,
I
Bob.
heard that.
I'm gonna hold you to
I heard
that
there
2
were
weeks
other
from now.
it goes into the park and then goes through the park to a staging area and then out to the dunes south of 10 Mile Creek and clear down as far as the North Spit.
I suppose if we find there's some compelling reason to not keep it closed, we could have make another decision, couldn't we?
Sure.
We could, yeah. All right,
Okay.
well, we will leave it at that then. All those in favor?
All right?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, so
I'll ask Rose to sign up and drive it in the ground out there someplace.
Great.
Okay, so to wrap up here, I don't have anything else on my list. One thing I wanted to bring up was with regard to the order that was approved right now, as far as what steps should we take and what are we going to do to get it out there that this has been approved to all the RV parks, motels, hotels, and other transient lodging providers.
Do we have a list of everyone available anywhere?
Environmental health does, because I believe they have to license all of them.
Okay.
So that might be the route to go through as far as getting something sent to everyone. Environmental health might have their contact and be able to put something out.
Shall we
Yeah,
find Rick's
I think
name
we
for
should.
that?
Go ahead, Melissa.
Good with me. I think we should reach out to environmental health and see if they have the contacts to send out the information for us. Otherwise, we need to send out a press release and probably do a mailing to each one.
Maybe both.
Yeah.
Okay. And if we end up doing if I can get contacts for all of them, then that'll be the route. Otherwise, the press release, do you want that to come from my office or a BOC?
Melissa, your call, you're the chair.
What is that, Bob? How do you want to handle this, Bob?
Well, actually, I think we come from the board. And I have an update for John. He doesn't need a sign at Spin Rail. There's already a large barrier there and a sign.
Oh, okay.
I was
good.
texting and some people that are right across the street there and they just told me that the barrier's there and the sign's up already.
Perfect. Okay, thanks, Bob.
All right. Well, you really handled that, Bob.
Anything else for anybody? Melissa, anybody?
Nope.
I don't see anybody in the audience, so I guess it's up to you, Melissa.
That's it. So our next meeting will be Friday, April 3rd at 11 a.m. And I think that's it for now. If there's
Thank
nothing
you.
more, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.